Hello, can everybody hear me tonight? Just want to do a quick sound check. This is some new software that, it's the first time I'm using it, so I want to make sure that everything is set up correctly. Good, good. There's a few second delay. I've noticed that so far. There's a few second delay between what I'm actually broadcasting and like the comments that I'm seeing coming along. So if it takes me a few seconds to get into the comments, just bear with me. Getting used to this new software. I think it's going to be a lot better because I'm able to share my screen. I'm able to show videos. I'm able to do a lot of different things with this software that I wasn't able to do before. And I think that's just going to improve, the quality of the live streams and hopefully help us, get some more information out there for everybody. So I hope everybody's having a good night. Everybody having a good Saturday night out there. All right. Yep. It's looking like I got about a 30-second delay. All right. Looking like I got about a 20 to 30-second delay. So, that's something I'll have to get used to and I'll have to sort of work around when I can. But we got some interesting things to talk about today. Wow. Snowed 3 inches there today. That's a, that's a snow in April. That's nice. I guess, depending on the situation. But, got a lot of things to talk about tonight. We want to talk about. I want to talk about Russia tonight, a little bit, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. We're going to start off by talking about this new commission that Biden's putting together and looking at expanding the Supreme Court. And we're going to look at a couple articles on that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then we're going to get into some gun control executive orders that if they're not signed in, they're not in the register yet, that they will be very soon. And we're going to talk about what they entail and how that's going to impact us. And we're also going to talk about how something else that's actually really odd. The subject of chemtrails. I'm sure everybody's familiar with the subject of chemtrails, and that's been a conspiracy theory for many, many years. But now Bill Gates is saying that that's what he wants to do to save the world from climate change. And we're going to look at this little video that's put out talking about that. And then we're going to talk about that. So we're going to cover a lot of information tonight. Oh, I hear you. You're on backup battery system while listening. That's great. So we're going to talk about a lot of different things tonight. Been pretty busy at work. That's why I wasn't able to do any live streams over the course of this week. We're coming out with some new software that we're going to be, presenting to some other companies. So I've been working a little late. And hopefully, though, we'll have that wrapped up this week and be back on track and putting some videos out because there's so much going on right now. Right now, we're at such a pivotal time in our nation that we need all the information we can get. And, we need to. You can't make informed decisions without the information. So we need all the information we can get, and I'm going to be trying to get as much out there as I can. But first, I have to play a quick word from our sponsors for this video. So let's play that real quick. Now spring is here and it's time for a dust off. The mower needs sorting, the garden tools look wrecked, and the barbecue needs some work. You might enjoy doing these jobs, but if you don't or can't, then you're going to need to pay someone, and that takes money. Let's face it, putting money aside for a comfortable retirement is the only way you're going to get out of doing the lawn for yourself, right? That way you can visit the kids, hike that trail, or play golf like your friends are all doing. Noble Gold can help with that. By investing in precious metals along with your other investments, a gold or silver IRA is a great way of doing this. And this month, Noble Gold is gifting a genuine, rare Carson City minted Morgan silver dollar with every qualifying IRA or 401k you do. So get in touch with the experts at Noble Gold at www.noblegoldinvestments.com. 877-646-5347. Call 877-646-5347. And again, That's www.noblegoldinvestments.com. Oh, so I got 2 live streams going at the same time. I think that's my fault in the setup. I think I accidentally linked my channel twice to it. Well, hey, maybe they'll both get monetized. Who knows? But thanks for letting me know that, because I will correct that and have one, because that probably is interfering. Let me see if I can just. Oh, I hate to turn one of them off now. I'm just going to keep on streaming on both of them, because there's no telling, which direction people are looking from, and I don't want to cut anybody off. But next time, I'll make sure that it's only streaming once instead of streaming twice, because I know that can be probably frustrating or confusing maybe. So we're going to talk about a lot of things tonight. The first thing that we're going to start off talking about is the commission that was put together to determine expanding the Supreme Court. So I'm going to share my screen here, or I'm going to try to. And let me bring this up here. It's going to take me a second until I get used to this new software. But once I get used to it, I think it's going to be pretty efficient, and we're going to be able to do it pretty well. All right. So I'm going to share my screen here. And as we look at this, hopefully that's big enough for everyone to see. And let me know also, because I know on YouTube that the chats, the comments right here, that they appear on the side of the video on YouTube. The main reason I put them up here right now is simply so that I can see the latency or the delay, because latency is basically the delay between when I broadcast and when you receive it and when you respond back. And sometimes it's as low as 1 or 2 seconds, but what I can see tonight, so I'm looking at about 20 to 30 seconds latency. So it's going to be a slight delay in me responding to some things. But getting back on this subject here, President Biden on Friday ordered a 180-day study of adding seats to the Supreme Court, making good on a campaign year promise to establish a bipartisan commission to examine the potentially explosive subjects of expanding the court or setting term limits for justices. Now, I will put a link here in the comments to that particular stream. And let me do that really quick so that everyone has that link to that document there. And chat. Takes me a minute. I'll get used to this, and it should run pretty good after that. But this, this is the first time we've had to deal with a president that's been talking about expanding the Supreme Court. Now, there's 2 sections to this commission, and at least 2 that we know about. And that's not counting the things we don't know about, because we know how the government is. The government is very secretive. There's no transparency. There's only transparency in things they want us to know. The other things, obviously, we never know. And term limits, I'm for term limits, but I think before you worry about the Supreme Court term limits, we need to start looking at some of these congressional term limits. We need to make sure that people, that these congressmen, that these people that serve in the House of Representatives and that serve in Congress, I think that's where the term limits need to begin with. Once we do that there, then let's worry about the Supreme Court. But the reason I say that is because once someone's in office for 10, 15 years, once they've been elected to Congress that many times, it's almost impossible to beat that person. If you decide you want to run for Congress tomorrow, then it's going to be a difficult process for, you to beat someone who's been in there 15 to 20 years for multiple reasons. One of those reasons being name recognition. These congressmen and congresswomen who have been there that long, people that vote half the time don't know who they're voting for. I mean, how many people do you know that vote just straight party lines, or vote on, names they know, names they recognize? And so much of that goes on that the average person is not going to have really a good shot at running for the House of Representatives, at running for Congress. And it's not just the name recognition, but it's also, just to be honest, the corruption that goes with it. When someone's been in Congress for 10, 15, 20, 25 years, then This person has made so many contacts, and this person has become so wealthy at that point that it's almost impossible for an average individual to put enough money together or to get enough backing to actually beat someone like that in any type of fair election. And well, the words fair and election should never be used in the same sentence in the United States anymore. But you know what I'm saying there. You know what I'm saying is if we're going to talk about term limits, let's begin where they need to start at, and that's in Congress. These congressmen and congresswomen that have been there 20 and 30 years, you know, they're so embedded in that you know, they've learned the game. And that's what I mean. They've learned the game. They know what to say on TV. They know the right words to say, the right phrases to make people who don't really pay attention say, yeah, that's the person I need to vote for because they said change. They said it's going to be better, you know, and in reality, it's going to change and it's going to be better, but only for that person that's serving in Congress. How many Congress people? I know one from my district. And this guy was a lawyer in the town that I grew up in and went to high school in. And, you know, he was not a very successful lawyer, to be honest with you, but he ran for Congress. He made it. And now he's a multi-millionaire. All right. Now, I know Congress pays decent, but Congress doesn't pay millions of dollars a year. And yet you see these people who are in Congress. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She did that little excerpt last year sometime where they were walking through her house, and my goodness, this was a, you know, $20 million mansion. How does a representative or a congressperson make that kind of money? Well, there's only one way, not legally, because the job does not pay that much. The job does not pay that much. So these people are obviously, you know, taking some money on the side somewhere. And I don't think that's any big secret. It's not like, you know, anybody's going to hear that and say, oh my goodness, you know, I can't believe that's happening. We all know it's happening. It's almost like we accept it. We accept it. We know our government's crooked. We know our government is corrupt, but yet we accept it. And that's the problem. We've accepted it for too long that it's become so embedded in society that it's going to be hard to overcome at this point. And that's what we're facing right now is situations, you know, or a situation that we're not going to be able to overcome because we let it go too far. And you have these people that are multimillionaires, you know, money talks. The average person cannot stand up against that person. And definitely the average person is not going to run in court to beat them. And that's why we need term limits in Congress. And if they impose term limits in Congress, then I'll fully support term limits for the Supreme Court too. But expanding the Supreme Court, that's a whole different thing. I personally don't think the Supreme Court needs to be expanded. And the reason I say that is because there are enough justices. It's an unequal number. So there has to be a winner. You know what I'm saying? There has to be a winner when they take it to a vote there. And expanding the Supreme Court only serves one purpose, and that's basically expanding the power of the party who happens to be in power when that Supreme Court is expanded. If the Supreme Court is expanded, then is it going to be a fair representation? Are they going to, or if they expand it by two, are they going to pick a Republican and a Democrat? No, they're not. You know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be both liberals going in there, and that's going to give them control of the Supreme Court. And at this point in time, this is a very concerning thing for us. It's a very concerning thing because if the liberals do control the Supreme Court, they also control the White House. They also control the House of Representatives, and they're pretty close to controlling, you know, the Senate. I mean, it's pretty much dead even there. So there really is nothing stopping the agenda that's trying to be pushed on us. And something I'm not getting into. Yeah, you're right. It is I'm going to share that comment right there. Right here. H.R. 1 and expanding the court is a recipe for one-party rule, not to mention it allows Dems to do unconstitutional things. And that, I'm glad you said that because that is an absolute fact. When one party begins to totally dominate or rule the nation, then it basically boils down to what they say goes. What they say goes. The laws they want to pass, they will pass. The things they want to do, they will do. I mean, we already see so much corruption right now. I mean, Hunter Biden, for example, how much evidence? I'm not going to get into all the evidence, but I'm just going to ask you, how much evidence do they have against this guy for committing multiple crimes? If they had 1/10 of the evidence against me or you, what do you think would happen? Well, I know I wouldn't be right here right now. I'd be in a cell somewhere. I would be locked up. And, that's something that we already know. And this is what's so concerning right now. This is what is so concerning about this country right now is we see it. It's not being hidden from us anymore. 20 years ago, yeah, they tried to hide the stuff, but right now they're not hiding anything from us. It's being flaunted in front of our faces. But and it's just getting. I hate to sound bad, doom and gloom, and that type of thing, but it's getting worse by the minute. I mean, some of the things we're saying, and with a couple more things that we're going to talk about later in this video, is the Bill Gates thing blows my mind. But the other things, it really is. It just shows exactly what the government's going to do. And in my prediction, hopefully I'm wrong. I don't like to predict, a lot of different things because I'm not a psychic or anything. But this 6-month investigation or commission into expanding the Supreme Court, I would be willing to bet money right now that six months from now, they'll come back and they'll say, yes, it's necessary to expand the Supreme Court. And we need to do it immediately. And we're suddenly going to have about 3 or 4 more liberals in there. And now they have control of the Supreme Court. And that's scary because the Supreme Court really has more power than the president does. The Supreme Court can overturn laws. They can set precedents. Yeah, the president can write executive orders and all that, but he can't actually make law. And the Supreme Court has a ton of power. And if they water that down and make it fully liberal like they're trying to do, then we're in a lot of trouble. We're in a ton of trouble. Yeah, Keisha. In the famous photo of Hunter with a crack pipe, he is doing the cross-arm Illuminati sign. That's why he isn't being prosecuted, and that's true. I mean, a lot of people, think, I guess years ago thought Illuminati doesn't exist. The Illuminati's a conspiracy theory. It's not. They pretty much tell us it's not anymore. They don't hide the things from us that they used to hide. Now we're seeing it. We're seeing it on TV. We're seeing it in interviews. We're seeing people say this. And it seems like only some of us, are recognizing it. Other people are blowing it off. I know a lot of people up here and, a lot of them are Democrats, and personally I like the people, but I try to avoid political subjects with them because, it's not going to turn out well. And it's disturbing what they believe from the mainstream media, what they believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope the Supreme Court doesn't fall either, Highlands. I really hope that. Because if that does, we're already in some stages that it's almost irreversible at this point. I mean, you think the next presidential election is 3 years from now. And, it'd be 4 years for another president takes office if he was to get voted out. But we saw from the last election that is not very likely to happen. It doesn't matter who runs against him. It's not very likely to happen. And that's if he is still in power, because there's a lot of talk and a lot of things that make sense. And Biden's even joked about this himself and saying that, if something happens to him, then Harris is going to be president. I fully expect to see Harris as president, before his term is out, or if he gets a second term before it's out. And, that's a definite possibility. Expanding the Supreme Court, this was never something that we talked about. Never. Until this administration, until they started running, until basically Trump, had the opportunity to appoint a couple of conservative justices to give conservatives the edge, I guess you would say, in the Supreme Court. Now, suddenly, it's important that we expand this court while a Democrat is in office. And it really doesn't make sense. Oh, well, it makes perfect sense, but it's really frustrating is what I should say. Yeah, that's true. Save yourself. He's referred to her as President Harris several times. And, he even come out and made a joke once. And you could probably look it up on YouTube. I'm sure the clip is on there somewhere, to where he said something to the effect of, well, if it doesn't go well for me, I'll just fake an illness and let Harris have the presidency. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. The agenda that we're seeing pushed right now is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. I mean, they're hitting hard. I'm not kidding. You look at all the executive orders that have gone through, they're hitting pretty hard right now. And, that's concerning enough. But if we look at what the plans for the future are, think about this, if the gun control that we're fixing to talk about goes through, and then the Supreme Court goes through and they're able to appoint more justices, then we're at a complete loss at that point. And this is going to be, we're in the middle of America changing as a nation. We're absolutely experiencing this for the first time. If the world survives, and I hope it does, I hope everything goes out all right, but we will be the ones that tell our grandkids that we lived through that time, just like my grandfather told me he lived through World War II. We're going to be telling them that same thing. And hopefully, things will work out for us. I don't think any of us here want to go to war. We don't want to fight our government. We don't want anything like that. But the problem is, it almost seems like we're being left no choice. We either have to stand up for our rights or we have to lay down and give them up. And that's pretty much it. That's the way it's going with that. All right. And we're going to talk a lot more, but I want to get on into a couple things. And one thing I didn't mention, I want to mention now, is a giveaway tonight. Again, I got 2 good items that people might like. The first item here is a backpack in a bottle. I don't know if you've seen this before. I ran across one of these not long ago, and I've got so many backpacks that, even if I packed all my backpacks in backpacks, I still couldn't carry them. So I want to give this to somebody. We'll do us a little drawing a little later on. And I've got a black box, just an empty black box. It's a little heavy. It says 40 S and W on the side of it. Let's put it in front of the camera there. 40 S and W. Hopefully somebody out there can use a empty black box, sort of like that red box we gave away a few weeks ago. And we'll be giving those away after we talk about a couple things here. So before I get into a different subject, are there any questions on this, what we talked about so far? Like on the, the Supreme Court thing? I'll give it a few seconds to let the stream catch up. Okay. All right. The next thing I want to talk about is we talked about the Supreme Court. So next, I want to get into these next 2 subjects tie into each other. And for me, they tie into each other in a drastic way. The first is gun control, and the second is some of the threats we face. So when we look at gun control, once again, I'm going to share my screen here. So bear with me for just a second. Let me pull up the right one here. All right. On gun control here, if I can find the right one. All right, yeah. I'm going to share this, but I think most of this that people have already heard, but I would definitely like to, add some more into this and a little thought on it as soon as I figure out the software right here. Here we go. All right. So here, this link right here is the executive order. Now, I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste this into our chat window here so that if anybody, wants to check out this link later on, that they can. Now, I'm also going to paste another link in here. Let me pull it up. I thought I had it pulled up. And give me just one second. And this is the Federal Register. And the reason I'm posting this link right here is because this is the only place you're going to go, pretty much, and you're going to see the exact executive order in all of its wording. Okay, when you look at the Federal Register right here, and you go to it, this is the Federal Register. So as an executive order or as any of these other notices and actions are passed, that document has to be registered here, and registered here word for word. So instead of taking somebody's word for it, you may want to come here and check this out and read some of these executive orders word for word, because just the headlines we see, just some of the things we see on TV, it does not get into the guts of these orders sometimes, and some of these are really disturbing with what's been going on so far. And that's what we're going to look at here. Here's another one from the Federal Register, promoting access to voting. So it's worth going and look at, because two things. One, is going to give you a list of all the executive orders that have been passed, and that's also presidential memorandums and all that too. And you'll be able to read them actually word for word, instead of just going, through a summary here or there. All right. So what I wanted to get into here is basically, I want to talk about some of his gun control. There's 6 major things. All right. I wanted to share that part, but there's 6 major things that really, I don't want to say they're so much concerning, but some of them are. And one of those is, we know that he's trying to ban semi-autos. We know that. Semi-auto rifles and pistols. And, a lot of people say, well, that's the AR-15. It's not just an AR-15. When we talk about a semi-auto rifle, you're talking about any rifle that's not bolt action or not single shot, basically, or not pump. There are a lot of semi-auto rifles on the market that aren't AR-15s. So they're not just going after AR-15s. They're going after anything that's capable of repeatable firing. And, when I think about gun control, they always tell these lies. They always tell these lies that say they're trying to protect us. Well, my guns protect me. I own guns, and I own a lot of them, and I carry them. And, when I have my gun with me, I guarantee you I'll be able to protect myself, whether, police are there or not. I'll be able to protect myself. You take my gun away, then you've taken my ability to protect myself away. And, so this is not about protection of the American people. We want to keep guns out of the hands of criminals. Do you really? Well, why don't you stiffen the penalties for criminals then? Why are you going to come and say, all right, well, you passed a background check, you got an AR-15, you haven't committed a crime, well, we're going to take your gun. Well, what about that criminal that's not even going to take the background check? That's just going to go buy this, not necessarily from anywhere in the U.S., from somewhere overseas or wherever, and go commit a crime. Why don't you do something about the criminals? If outlawing guns and taking away semi-autos is going to make America safer, then, we can say the same thing about cars. Why does anybody in the world need a car that does over 70 miles an hour? And every single one out there does. There's more car deaths than pretty much anything else. If we want to make America safe, why don't we start with the criminals? Why don't we start with the people that are actually doing stuff that are hurting people? Not people like me and people like you that are in our homes. And when I shoot my gun, it's at a shooting range. It's out in the woods somewhere and things like that. I'm not shooting at anybody. I mean, I was in the military and all that, but those days are long behind me. I'm here now and I'm not hurting anybody. And most people are not. But we're the ones that are going to be punished for this. And it's not an attempt to stop the criminals. Because if they wanted to stop criminals, they would have stopped our damn cities from burning last year. And they proved to us right there that it's not criminals they're after. They're after people that don't agree with the government. And the first step in stopping us or putting us down is taking our ability to fight back if necessary. And that's exactly what these 6 executive orders are trying to do. Semi-autos. They classify this as a weapon of war. Well, I'm going to tell you what, if I'm going to war, I don't want a semi-auto. I want a fully automatic with a grenade launcher on it. I don't want an AR-15. I want an M4. That's just ridiculous for anybody that, understands firearms. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Doing away with high-capacity magazines. anything over 10 rounds, anything over 10 rounds is going to be illegal if this stuff goes through. Once again, he made a statement. Nobody needs a high capacity magazine that has 50 rounds. Nobody needs a weapon that's capable of firing 50 rounds. Well, nobody needs a lot of things. Once you go out to Oregon and tell them, they just legalize freaking meth and crack and all that. Who needs that? Oh, why don't you do something about the real crime instead of people who are not hurting anything? And by just seeing this, it's obvious to all of us exactly what's going on. And this government is our biggest enemy right now. This government is what we should be concerned about over anything else, because this government is the one that is trying to take what we got and is trying to put us down. Yeah, exactly. They like to get us mad with these executive orders and all, but in reality, an executive order it is not a law. The only thing the president can do with an executive order is enhance or make minor modifications to existing laws. But this president is using the executive order as a law book, basically. He's thinking he can write all of his laws, through executive orders. And guess what? He's doing it. And he's doing it because most of the media is agreeing with him. And you got all these sheep running around that agree with the media because they're too scared to think for themselves. They're afraid that, whoa, wait a minute, if I disagree with the government, then, something's going to be wrong. They might come and get me. Well, grow a pair is all I can say on that. And, it's really crazy where this country is headed. And, at my age, it's so frustrating to watch a country that was so good, was so strong, and was, proud of us. We were all proud to be Americans. We all fought together. We all stood together through 9/11, through times before that. And to see what it is now, to see what it's become now. Wait till next week when that police officer, what's his name, Chauvin, when that trial's over with, unless he gets the death sentence, you can expect more riots like we saw last year, because it's going to begin right then. There's already threats online and all that stuff. Yeah. The Obama years. You think about it. Think about how bad it was during Obama. A lot of people didn't think it was bad. I work with a few people. One guy in particular who's a very liberal Democrat, and we obviously we don't get along on that level, but I ain't even gonna go there because I work with a dude. But I happen to remember. I'm gonna highlight your comment there so I can try and answer that. All right. I'm not a professor of history, but I happen to remember a few times in the 20th century when a faction strong arms an election, purges the government, changes the law, and then takes guns. Yeah. And there was, that's true. And that's what we're seeing. And that's what's so scary about it. And this is what really bothers me, is that the younger generation is somehow blind to this. And I know why. It's because of the education system. It's because of what they're seeing on their social media. Social media, when I open Facebook, I don't see the same thing you do. You don't see the same thing the person beside you do. They tailor that, it's called AI for a reason, artificial intelligence. They know what it takes to make you mad. They know what it takes to make you aggressive, or to make you happy, or make you sad. And that's what they're going to show you depending on what they want from you at that point. And what we're seeing right now is a nation falling from within, Nobody's probably going to beat our military right now. Just to be honest about it, we have a very strong military. We're very capable in that aspect. Citizens are armed right now. No one's going to take this country by force except our own country. And that's our own government. And, we've got a government right now that's dividing the country in half. And that's telling everybody who, and just to put it blunt, everybody who isn't a Democrat, that we are wrong, and that we are the cause of the problems. We are the cause of all the problems in America today. And that's absolutely not true. Most people want to live a decent life. I don't want to go out on the street and oppress anybody. I don't want to go out on the street and hurt anybody. I don't want to, evict people in their homes. I just want to live my life. I want to raise my family, raise my kids, love my family. And that's all I've ever wanted to do. And that's what most people want to do. But now, guess what? That's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. They're talking about the nuclear family. There's something wrong with that now. If you have a mother and father who is still together, there's something wrong with you, is what they're saying. My mom and dad are still together, and I'm blessed in that way. I am, and I'm thankful for that. But there's a lot of people out there that, think that is part of the problem. And it's just the opposite. Part of the problem is people running off and leaving their family, and I'll just leave that there. All right. So let's get into the other gun control things. Registering ammunition. That is something that, it's hard enough to find right now, but how do you register ammunition? If I have to register ammunition, then that also means I have to go up to the police department every time I go to the shooting range and give them an update on how much ammo that I've shot. Give them an update on that. How else could that work? If I go register 100 rounds of ammunition today with my local police department because they're trying to pass this law, let's say they do pass it. I go register the ammunition. All right. They decide to come search my house 2 weeks from now, but I went to the shooting range and shot 50 rounds out of that 100. What are they going to do? Is that a felony then? What are they going to do? Confiscate my weapons? Take me to jail? But that's what we're seeing. And I'll tell you, one of the most concerning things about these executive orders is they're so vague. They're so vague because I've read everything that I could read on these, and it doesn't lay it out like a law should lay things out. And it's, it's just concerning because it's right here upon us. It's right here upon us. I know if a lot of you think the same way I do, then, this is sort of one of them things I was like, as a kid, never really thought it would come down to this, but now we're facing this. And we're facing a government who has made us the enemy. A government that's made us the enemy. For what? For working a job? For raising a family? What? What have we done wrong, really? I haven't committed a crime. But yet they're going to come and get my guns because I have a pistol brace on a couple of my rifles or on a couple of my pistols. And I have a bunch of ammunition. That makes me a felon if these go through. Stabilizer braces. Okay, so this is number 3 of those stabilizer braces. Gonna share my screen again for those that do not know, who haven't seen a stabilizer brace. Let me bring one up right here and just give you an idea of what it looks like and what it is, the purpose behind it. All right, stabilizer braces, pistol braces, commonly called, are these types of devices that we see right here. Now, on an AR-15, these are made specifically for, at least for these right here, for, basically for an AR-15, the one that I'm talking about right here, because that's the ones they're targeting, is this brace slides on to what's called the buffer tube on the back of your rifle. The buffer tube is what contains the spring in the piston. And it's what absorbs the recoil. As I fire a rifle, it's what absorbs that and chambers another round. So people put these pistol braces on. I don't know if you can see, and I've got a couple. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it's got a Velcro strap. And let me see if it has a better picture on this page right here. All right, here it is from the back. And here's the whole purpose is you're able to put your hand through here and grab the pistol grip on that pistol and then put this Velcro around your wrist to help stabilize while you're shooting. Now, is it a quick draw method? No, it's not a quick draw method, and it may not even be practical to do that, definitely not in a combat situation. But for people, that want better stabilization on their pistols, then this is the option for them. It's not just the fact that they're saying they're going to make these illegal, because they're gonna. Don't think for a minute they're not. Hopefully I'm wrong, but with what we see right now going on, this is probably gonna happen somewhere down the line. Maybe not right this second, but it's gonna happen eventually. It's gonna happen somewhere down the line, probably within the next year or two. And if they make these illegal, then what do you do as an individual? Because looking at the documentation that comes from this, once again, it doesn't specify penalties. It doesn't, specify exactly what an individual has to do if you already own one of these. It says one thing. It says it's going to classify your weapon now as what's called an SBR, a short-barreled rifle. All right, now an SBR is a rifle that has a barrel of less than 16 inches. And those are considered, what the NFA, or those are considered, or what are called NFA weapons or other weapons. An SBR, short-barreled rifle, is against the law for someone to own without a federal permit for that. And I've always disagreed with that because I'm like, okay, I can't own a rifle with a 12-inch barrel, but I can own a pistol with a 6-inch barrel. Okay. But, even besides that, the question is, what are they going to do if this passes? And what they're saying right now is that people will have to register those as SBRs or, NFA weapons, which means you're going to have to pay $200 to apply for the registration. And I'll tell you firsthand that this type of registration, the same type of registration as you would go through for like suppressors, it does not happen overnight. It's not like I go in and do a background check. This is one of those things that it will take 6 months, maybe 9 months before you get that permission back. So my question is this: if they do pass this and they tell me, the police come to my house, you got to register that weapon, are they going to take my weapon until that registration comes through? I bet you they will. I bet you they will. I bet you they will take that weapon. They will take it. And if your registration comes through, then maybe you'll get it back somewhere down the line. But you're looking several months. And to be honest, as much as Biden is on gun control, how do you think he's going to stiffen these laws that make it almost impossible for somebody to be able to register an NFA weapon? So once I have that weapon taken from me while I put in that application, I would bet money once again that I would probably never see it again. There will be a reason I'm denied that application. And that's what kills me about gun laws. I mean, yeah, we need gun laws. Everybody needs, every nation needs gun laws, of course, but gun laws don't apply to criminals. I mean, if I'm a criminal, do you think I'm going to go into the store and try and get an NFA weapon that takes a 6-month background check? No, I'm not. I'm going to go buy this illegally somewhere. It's ridiculous. The people that are doing it the legal way are the ones that are getting punished right now. The people that are doing it illegally, they're going to keep getting away with it because with all these executive orders, with everything that's going on, not one time have you heard Biden mention stiffer penalties for criminals who have firearms. Not one time have you heard those words come out of his mouth. But you have heard the words AR-15s are weapons of war. No, they're not. Like I said before, I don't want an AR-15 in combat. I want an M4 that's fully automatic, and I want an M58 grenade launcher. I don't want an AR. I mean, if that's all I got, then that's fine. But that's not a weapon of war. A weapon of war is truly a fully automatic weapon with explosive capabilities, possibly. It's not a sporting rifle. It's not a sporting rifle. Anybody that sits out there and says, well, AR-15, AR stands for assault rifle. How many times have y'all heard that? AR, it stands for assault rifle. And, it just makes you want to laugh in their face because it's just the name of the company, Armalite, that designed that weapon. It's crazy. So that's stabilizer braces. Another thing, they want to eliminate, gun show loopholes. I've been to a lot of gun shows in my life. And every time I bought a gun, I've had to go through a background check. Every single one. I've never went to a gun show and not had to go through a background check. So I personally, from my experience, don't see a loophole there. I don't see how that is a loophole. So it makes you wonder what they're going to do. And I'll tell you what they're going to do. Because part of this is, they're really fussing or they're really complaining about the 3-day rule. And as an ex-gun dealer, because I used to have a federal firearms license when I had my gun store, as an ex-gun dealer, I can tell you that when you sell a firearm, when somebody applies, runs a background check to do a firearm, it comes back delayed a lot, especially these days. They delay a lot these days. And if that delay lasts longer than 3 days, then as a dealer yourself, you're allowed to make the judgment, do I, pass this gun along or do I wait? They're wanting to extend that, a much longer period of time. And, first of all, it's I'm all for it. I'm not against a background check. I'm okay with that. I mean, I don't have anything that's going to prevent me from owning one, but I'll tell you this, ever since I turned in my federal firearms license, that every gun I went to buy since then, I've been delayed, every single one. And it's took me 3, sometimes 4 days before I would actually get to take possession of that firearm. And I know I've done nothing wrong. The background check system, I don't want to say it's broken, but what I mean is it's inefficient. The people that are running it don't know what they're doing, because if they did know what they're doing, there would be 0 delays. You would pass or you'd fail. If the systems were that efficient, then why do you need 3 days to research me? What can you not research online about me in, say, an hour or two that you're going to find 3 days later? So it's a ridiculous system as far as the way that goes. It was always frustrating to me, and it still is frustrating to me. But it's going to get worse. It's going to get much worse. And as it does, you can expect that these firearms, when you go to purchase a firearm, there is going to be a delay. I mean, that's going to increase by a lot. And 2 more things about the gun controls. 2 more things about that. One is the background check and expanding individual background checks. Nothing was really in the documentation I read was really specific as far as what they're going to do, but they're going to expand background checks, whatever that means, because they're saying that 1/5 of all gun sales in the United States are done without a background check. I just don't see it. There's a lot of person-to-person sales, but that's not legal in every state. It's only legal in some states. So 1/5 of the hundreds of millions of guns they claim are in America are sold, without a background check. That's something that I don't believe, but that's something that they're putting out there so they can do what they call expanding background checks, which basically expanding a background check means one thing. It means we're looking for a reason to not let you have that gun. You had a speeding ticket, there's no telling what it's going to entail. There's no telling what it's going to entail because the facts are not out there. They won't put the actual facts out there. They just put these broad headlines out and these, attention grabbers. But they won't say, well, what we mean by this is we're going to expand the background check this way. We're going to look at this. We're going to investigate this. They won't say that because really expanding the background check is only doing one thing. It's looking for a reason to deny someone. Now, the last thing on that are the 80%. And there's a lot of talk about ghost guns. So once again, I'm going to share my screen real quick again because I want to show for those that don't know what a ghost gun is, I'm going to show it right here. A ghost gun is something that doesn't have a serial number. Since the Constitution was first written, it is completely legal for me, you, anyone as long as we're legally allowed to own a firearm, to build our own firearm. There's no law against that. Now, there is a law against us building a firearm and then selling it if we are not licensed to do so. Now, recently, a lot of places have come out, or not recently, this has been going on for 10 years or so, but they're selling what's called 80% lowers. 80% lowers is basically like if you see this picture right here, let me click on it, see if we get a better picture, is 80% lower is basically an unfinished lower receiver for, in this case, as we see, an AR-15. And this unfinished lower receiver is basically exactly like you see here. If you can see the top of this picture, you can see that nothing's been cut out in it. Nothing's been cut out. You can see the magazine well, the mag well right here is cut out, but the lower receiver itself, where all the parts, all the components go, your safety, your trigger, your springs, where they all go to actually make this a weapon, is not cut out. And selling this as a lower receiver, an 80% complete lower receiver, basically falls into the category of just selling a piece of metal or a piece of plastic. And the government's going after these because it's not required to put a serial number on them. And, a lot of people are up in the air on that. Personally, I think, that I don't see anything wrong with this, but I know that some people do. And not really going to say my personal opinion, but I'm just going to say that these are out there. And that's one of the things they're targeting. But what's even more concerning than them targeting the 80% lower receivers. Now, you can see the panic that this has caused. If you look at this page, sold out, sold out, sold out, and out of stock, out of stock, out of stock, out of stock. People are listening and they're hearing what he's going to do, and they're stocking up now. He's causing a run on guns. Biden is the reason that ammo is $50 a box. Biden's the reason that the firearm that was $300 2 years ago is $500 now. He's the reason that our prices are going up because of his rhetoric. But I'm not necessarily, sort of on the fence about this. I think that you should be able to buy an 80%, lower. But I can also see the fact that someone who is a criminal, if I were a criminal and I wanted to arm 5 or 10 people, I could buy 5 or 10 of these without ever registering them. So, that is one of those things that you can sort of see both ways on. I don't think they should be restricted. Once again, I think we should just lock the criminals up, quit letting them out of jail, quit, bailing them out when they're burning down cities, quit doing that stuff. Make stiffer penalties for the people that are committing the crimes and let the people that are not committing the crimes live their lives. And this is just the opposite. We're the ones paying, and the people that are committing the crimes are the ones walking free. And from his administration are going to be the ones getting the benefits. Now, another thing that's attached to this particular order is not just the 80% lowers, but guess what? The parts kits, the triggers, the springs, the assemblies that go inside of these. All right, and that might make sense. A lot of people might say, well, that's makes sense. You can't build this without a parts kit. And that's true. But, I can't repair the trigger on a weapon I do have or a firearm I do have if I can't buy a parts kit. Imagine that's going to do to the price of firearms if we're still able to get them. Imagine what this is going to do to the price of just individual components, because you'll probably be able to buy just a trigger spring, but instead of being $1.50, it's going to be $50 because the demand and the price is going to go up so much. Oh, Keisha, that's a really good point. And I do want to talk about that, but honestly, I don't have enough background information on him right now to get into that in depth, but that is something that I'm looking into. I'm definitely looking into that. Another thing, all right, and this is the problem that I do have with people saying, 80% lowers should be illegal because anybody can buy them and anybody can build a gun out of them. No, you can't. I can't build a gun out of one of these. You want to know why? It's because I don't have a CNC machine. And, you could probably use a drill and try and drill this stuff out. And that might work on this polyplastic that you see right here, this polymer. But when you get into the aircraft aluminum and all, that's what this jig right here that comes with it is for. But if you want to know the truth, if I were a criminal and I was going to build 10 AR-15s to arm my crew, I'm certainly not going to order them from a website right here that has to ship them directly to my front door. No, if I've got the machinery that I can drill this out, that I can cut this out, then I'm just going to build it from scratch. All you need is a block of aluminum, and you can start building these yourself if you have the jig that you see in this picture right here. So banning 80% lowers, once again, it's not really going to stop anybody. If you want to stop criminals, you got to stop criminals. You can't stop the average person from, just having the things that we want to have. That's not stopping criminals. That's making us more susceptible to crime. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. In my opinion, that's exactly what they're trying to do. I've always believed that this administration wants a civil war. They want civil unrest. They push it. And, they push division. They try and separate us all, whether that be by race, whether that be by politics, whether it be by anything. The average person can get along with the other average person. People I meet, I get along with really well, but you watch TV and they make it sound like everybody hates each other. I don't think we hate each other. I think they want us to hate each other. They want us to hate each other so that we'll pay attention to how much we hate each other and ignore what they're doing. Look at how much is going on right now. There's so much going on. They're talking about the Supreme Court. They're talking about, gun control. And I haven't even mentioned this multi-billion-dollar package that Biden's proposing that is, wow, what I've read so far. And that's why I wasn't talking about it in this video, because there's a lot to unpack in it. And I want to do a video just on that because it's really concerning with some of the things with where some of this money is going that he's proposing it, and a 39.7% increase on taxes is also what's being proposed in this new spending package. Can you afford that? I can't. That's exactly what they're doing. They're bringing the middle class down so that we become dependent on them. And not only do we become dependent, but we're unarmed. So we have to be dependent on them. They're going to rule us one way or another. And that's what they're thinking. That's what they're trying. And they want to rule us one way or another. All right. So gun control, gun control is a tough thing. And what's really concerning about this, that's concerning enough. That's concerning enough that they may be, taking all of our guns, except for single action black powder revolvers and stuff. But, they're going to be trying to do all that while this is going on. Have you seen the buildup in the Arctic region by Russia? I want to show you that real quick. I'm going to share my screen once again. And I'm going to find that page I was on right here. No, right here. All right. This is what Russia's doing in the Arctic region right now. But I'm going to read this article. This comes from CNN. So take it as, just take it with a grain of salt, I guess. Weapons experts and officials have expressed particular concern about one Russian superweapon called the Poseidon 2M39 torpedo. Development of the torpedo is moving fast, with Putin requesting an update on a key stage of the test in February from his defense minister, with further tests planned this year. Now listen to what this weapon does. The unmanned stealth torpedo is powered by a nuclear reactor and intended by Russian designers to sneak past coastal defenses like those of the U.S., and it's going to travel along the sea floor. The device is intended to deliver a warhead of multiple megatons. Now, if you've watched any of my videos on nuclear and all that, I've always focused on the 100 to 150 kiloton range when I talk about the effects of a video, the effects of a nuke. When we start getting into the megaton range, we're talking just absolutely huge. And what this will do will cause radioactive waves that would render swaths of the target coastline uninhabitable for decades. So basically what this weapon does is it creates a massive multi-megaton nuclear explosion right off the coast of a country, thus forcing that water onto the coastlines of those cities, water that has radioactive particles in it. Because if you detonate a nuclear weapon underwater, then a lot of that water, of course, will be vaporized. But as is vaporized, then radioactive nuclides will attach to that, and those will be washed up on the shoreline from the resulting tsunami. And basically what you're going to have is the effect of a nuclear weapon with the fallout coming from the ocean instead of from the skies. And this is being, as you can see right here, this is something that's being tested right now, and this is in the Arctic region. And the Arctic region might sound far away, but when we think about how far, the Arctic of Russia is from Alaska, we're talking a mere few miles. And this should be very concerning. And it goes on to say, I'm going to put this article up. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it into the comments also, if I can. All right. Was my screen sharing during that, or was that not sharing? Yeah. I wanted to make sure that my screen shared on that and everybody saw what I was talking about. But here's the link to that document right there. I put it up in the comments down there below, and it's an interesting read. It's really this is the kind of thing that's concerning, and it's concerning not just because you have another superpower in the world developing weapons like this, but you have our government coming after us, our government coming after our own people. I mean, it's very obvious. I mean, it doesn't take, y'all see this just as much as I do. This government is not out to unite us. It's out to divide us, and it's out to take down the ones that, it doesn't feel or, belong here, I guess. I don't know how else to put it. But when we start seeing stuff like this going on in the world, and then we see this huge $1 billion spending package that's trying to be passed, $3 trillion spending package that includes a 10% cut in national defense. Now, hold up. If we can spend $3 trillion, couldn't we at least maintain what we're spending, on national defense? And, it's sort of a scary thing. All right. Give me 1 second. And I'm going to bring this video up. So just give me just a couple of seconds right here. All right. I had to hunt down that video. It was going to take me a second. All right. Now I'm going to share this video. And when I first heard this video, I was like, I was sort of in disbelief. And to be honest, I only listened to it about half the way through. So I'm going to see it for the first time here towards the end, just like y'all are, unless you've already seen it. And I just ran across it on YouTube. It popped up on my feed on my main channel. And it's from the Tucker Carlson show. But it's about Bill Gates and about what Bill Gates is proposing to fight climate change. All right. Have you ever heard of chemtrails? I'm sure we've all heard of chemtrails. They were all fake, right? They were all just lies. Well, let's take a look at this. 1 second. All right. All right. Now I'm going to play this. All right. Is it coming through now? I want to make, all right, there we go. I'm going to play this. Hopefully the audio works right. This is the first time I'm using the software. So make sure you
think of himself as some guy who got super rich making bad software. Bill Gates thinks of himself as God in control of the solar system. And that's why Bill Gates is now backing something called sun dimming technology that would reflect sunlight out of the Earth's atmosphere, causing global cooling. Ooh, that's not fraught with risks. You thought gain-of-function research on pathogens was dangerous. Try that. But that doesn't stop Harvard University. Its scientists are testing that technology by spewing calcium carbonate dust into the atmosphere.
Bill Gates is backing the first high-altitude experiment of one radical climate change solution, creating a massive chemical cloud that could cool the Earth. It's called solar geoengineering, and it's highly controversial. It would look something like this. Thousands of planes would fly very high and use nozzles to inject millions of tons of light-reflecting particles into the stratosphere. It would create a thin chemical cloud of those particles around the whole planet, blocking some sunlight from reaching the surface. It would mimic a giant volcanic eruption, which we know cools the Earth.
Now, just to restate, Bill Gates is not God.
All right. Did that come through? Did everybody see that? I want to make sure everybody saw that before I, get to talking about it too much. All right. All right, man. How many years, have you looked up into the sky and you've seen we've all grew up with airplanes flying over us. I mean, I was not born before the airplane was invented. And I saw what airplane exhaust, what jet airline exhaust looked like for decades before I started seeing chemtrails in the sky. And, people will call me crazy, but, I'm an intelligent man, just like y'all are intelligent people. And we got enough sense to be able to look up and see something that dissipates, something that comes out of the exhaust of a plane and stays there for hours. That's not normal water vapor type of exhaust. And we've been seeing this for years. And now they're throwing it in our face. And they're saying this is what we're going to do, or that's what Bill Gates wants to do. And, Bill Gates is part of all of those. Bill Gates is part of that elite. They're going to listen to him. They're not going to listen to us. They don't even care if we know anymore. They don't even care because they have the money. So they think they have the power to stop us. But there's something my granddaddy told me years ago is that it don't matter how much money you got. It don't matter what job you have. There ain't no man above an ass whooping. And, these people, these elite, they need to start to realize that kind of thing. We're living in a different world than what we grew up in. We're living in a completely different world, and we're faced with an enemy that's coming from within, an enemy that's coming from within, an enemy that is in charge of us. Our enemy makes our laws right now. Our enemy patrols our streets. And I don't mean the average police officer. I shouldn't have said it like that. But you know what I'm saying. Our government, and I don't mean the average person on the local level. I'm talking about the elite, the ones that have been in this for the years, the swamp. I'm talking about those people that will do anything to remain in power, and that includes what we just saw, basically sacrificing the majority of the world. I mean, common sense tells you, how stupid is Bill Gates really? Because common sense tells you if you start reflecting the sunlight that warms the Earth's surface, that we're going to see a lot of issues. It doesn't take a scientist to figure that out. And, this is something that people who have millions of dollars will be protected from. They will be protected from because they have the bunkers, they have the money, they have, everything they need. It's the people like me and you that just live in an average house that we're going to be the ones that pay the price. And it's going to be our elderly and our young kids that suffer the worst because they're not going to be able to make it through if something bad does happen like that. This is really, Bill Gates, I can't stand the guy. It would not do for me to meet him in person, but, I can't stand him. I can't even stand to see him on TV. People talk about how smart he is. He's not really all that smart. When's the last, what has Bill Gates really done in the last 20 years other than enjoy his billions of dollars? Do you think he really programmed software? He hasn't programmed anything in 30 years. Maybe in the beginning when he come up with the first idea for Windows, and he was in competition with Linus Torvalds, who came up with Linux. And the only reason Bill Gates instead of Linus Torvalds or Torvalds, I don't know exactly how he pronounces his name. He's Finnish. He's from Finland. He developed Linux or Unix at almost exactly the same time that Bill Gates developed Windows. And there was a lot of controversy there. The big difference was Bill Gates was a better businessman than Linus. Bill Gates started making money off of what he had developed. Linus gave away Linux for free. Linux is an operating system for those that don't know. And to tell you how reliable and how powerful it is, all of our government systems run off of Unix, which is a variation of Linux. They don't run on Windows, not their main servers. They don't run on Windows. Even robot software doesn't run on Windows. It has a Windows-like feel to it, but it's all Linux. Yes, Jay Davis. Let me highlight that. Scroll down. Yes, Bill Gates just became, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020, just became one of the largest farm landowners in the United States. What purpose does that serve? Somebody who stepped down at Microsoft, right? And then goes off into this coronavirus, this, he's all of a sudden an expert on the coronavirus and all this stuff, yeah, I'll admit the guy's smart, but he's not, he's not God. Why does he get away with so much? And you know why? It's because he's got the money. Money talks. And it sounds to me, I have to agree with you, Jay. It sounds to me like, what's the easiest way to control a population? Control their food. You can threaten me all day long, but that's not going to work because I will fight back or I'll die trying. But if you start starving my family, I'm probably going to listen a little closer, and most people will. And that's what's happening. If you look down in Texas, there's been a lot of other, was it Jeff Bezos, the guy that was in charge of Amazon, whatever, bought millions of acres of farmland just recently in the last year or two also. So you see all of these liberals that are buying up all the farmland. Where's that going to leave us? We talk about food shortages. Well, the food shortage ain't going to be because we can't produce it. It's going to be because they won't distribute it. If you don't get your chip, if you don't get your vaccine, you ain't getting no food. And it's going to probably come down to that. You watch and see. It's going to come down to that. We're probably going to we already see these vaccine passports, they're calling them, that they're coming up with. It's going to be a matter of time before food is going to be rationed. Our guns will be taken away. And if you don't have this vaccine or this vaccine passport, you can't even go in and get your food rations. And, we just can't let it get that far, folks. We can't let it get that far, because if we do, then it's done. And like I said before, I'm 50. I hope to live a very long time, but I've lived a pretty good life so far. It's my kids I'm worried about, I'm willing to lay it down so that they can live. And I think a lot of people out there are willing to do that same thing, but that time may be coming for us. I hate to say it, that time may be coming for us. I'm not advocating any violence, YouTube, in case you're listening, because I know you are. Not advocating violence, but I'm advocating defending yourself and defending your nation and defending your family. And that's what we all got to do. All right. We talked about a lot tonight. I got a lot more I want to talk about. Had a really crazy week at work as far as busy as we were developing this new software that's going to be it's going to be nationwide pretty soon. It's pretty interesting. I'll be able to talk more about it later, but it's a pretty good thing, and at least for what I do in robotics. And I got a lot more things I want to talk about, so we're going to be doing some more live streams over this week because I do have some free time coming up. I was going to go down to South Carolina and do some outdoor videos this weekend, but because of this project I'm working on, I'm going to be delayed on that about a week or two. So it'll be a couple of weeks, but I got some new products that I bought specifically to take into the woods with me to test and video so that people know. None of these are paid. These are just products I personally bought that I thought, I want to test out, and I want to see, is it worth you buying? Is it worth, this is what it does, that kind of thing. It's not paid reviews. These are just information reviews. So that's about all we're going to talk about tonight, but let's get into the giveaway. Y'all ready for the giveaway? We'll start off with, is YouTube blocking your comments? Man, I see that a lot, and y'all do me a favor too. Every few days or something, if you don't see that, because I'm going to post a video at least once a week, hopefully more than that, but at least once a week. But if you don't see nothing from me, maybe check out the channel and see if you're still subscribed, because after my last live stream, my wife was watching it, and then she got off of YouTube and she didn't watch it all. She watched about half, got off YouTube. And then she came back on later on that night to watch the rest of it. And she was unsubscribed from me. And she didn't unsubscribe from me. She was telling me about it. She was like, I didn't do that. And I said, well, I'm sure you didn't. That's a YouTube thing. I've noticed that a lot, so check your subscriptions. I have to check mine. Channels I subscribe to, I lose them all the time, and I have to go back and find them and resubscribe to them. That's YouTube's way, because they might not can outright ban some of the things that people say, but they sure can just drop your subscribers and, not promote your videos and nobody sees them. Oh, so you're unsubscribed too, John? Yeah. It's getting crazy that we actually have to do this, and that shows how hard and how deep rooted this problem is, because YouTube, Facebook, all of the major social medias are doing stuff like this. I mean, Facebook's the worst. They'll outright just kick you off if you say something they don't like, and it's time. That's all I can say. It's time we figure out what we need to do. All right, but let's do this giveaway. And We want to start off with the backpack. I've never opened this, so it is a backpack in a bottle. So it's a water bottle that has a tab on the top of it right here. It's not a purifier. It's not a water purifier, but it is a water bottle, and it has a backpack in it. Like I said, I've never opened it, but it is what it is, and it's pretty cool. So we're gonna do the giveaway just like we always do here. I'm gonna write down a number between 1 and 100 here, and one thing, and I just want to mention this, and is another thing in Biden's proposal. I'm going to get deeper into his $3 trillion package, but another thing in that is he's really pushing solar panels. Solar panels, one of the primary components in it that coat the solar panel itself is silver. There's not enough silver in the world to coat enough solar panels to power the world. So as they use the silver, you know what the cost is going to do. So if you're looking for a good investment, I don't like to give financial investment advice, but I'm just going to be honest. I'm putting my money in silver right now, and I'm not talking about IRAs. I'm not talking about things like that. I'm talking about stuff I can buy, because it's already doubled in price since I was a precious metal dealer just 3 or 4 years ago. Literally doubled. And it's like palladium. If you think back to, let's just say 15 years ago or 20 years ago, before catalytic converters really become a thing in vehicles, palladium was like copper, tin. It's worth not much of anything. But as they started, requiring catalytic converters, palladium is very good at absorbing those hydrocarbons that, those pollution that comes through your muffler system, your exhaust system. So the price of palladium, the last time I looked, which is about 3 days ago, was $2,200 an ounce. A few years before they started putting it in the catalytic converters, you're talking the price even less than the price of silver. It wasn't even $10 an ounce. Silver right now is going for, I think, about $24 an ounce. 2 years ago, it was like $12 an ounce. And as they continue, as the demand for this rises, because they're producing more and more solar panels, this is going to skyrocket. It may not be a short term, you're not going to buy anything and it's going to be $1 million tomorrow. But, if you can just slowly acquire a little bit and hold on to it, and if the economy does keep rolling, this is going to be worth some money. And that's just a fact, because there's nothing else that they use. They use silver nitrate to coat the solar panels. And until they come up with something else, and they won't, because silver's cheap right now. So this is a very good investment. And, that's what I'm doing. So you guys, just thought I'd throw that out there is all. All right. I'm going to come up with a number between 1 and 100. And all right, I got the number right here, and let's start guessing. All right, go. Seven. See, nope, not yet. Some people are getting close, but not yet. Nope. Oh, a couple of them real close. Oh, close. And no, not yet. All right, y'all getting further away. All right. Oh, really close. Somebody was really close within one of it there. All right, there we go. All right. Let me put this up. I want to make sure to put it up right here. Jason Arnold, 42. Oh, I'm sorry, man. All right, I'm going to give it to you anyway. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give out 2 gifts because I'd written down a number 43, and I think somebody already put the number 43 in. So since I said you won, Jason, you won. Let me scroll back up and see who was the first person that put 43 in. I don't know what happened there. So let me look here. Sorry about that, y'all. 46. Let's go on through. 24. Okay. Well, matter of fact, Jason, that was you that put 42 and 43 in because there's your 43, which is really early in the thing. So you win, man. Sorry about that confusion, y'all. But Jason, if you want to email me at survivor@serioussurvivor.com. All right. And you email me and I'll get that out to you. All right. The next giveaway we got is a black box. And you can see what it says on there. Wait, hold on. All right. It's a black box. There's nothing in it. It's heavy, but y'all know what I'm saying. All right. I'm going to write down another number right here between 1 and 100 again. And this time I'm going to make sure to get it right. All right. Let's go. Nope, not yet. Couple close, but all right. John. Number. All right, that's the wrong one. Hold on. You top 10 at number 23, John. I saw it. I just got to find it right there. 23. All right, John. If you will email me at survivor@serioussurvivor.com. And I will get that out to you one day this week. I can't make any guarantees what day it'll be, but it'll be before the weekend. I know that. But other than that, it'll be one day this week. All right. I got a couple of other things because I've been going through a lot of my gear and I've been really, reassessing because over the last few years, I've bought so much gear. And before I started really keeping inventory of it, I ended up with so many things of the same type that, I probably could sell these, but I figure why not give them away on the channel here because I see a lot of people on here that, I see every time I do a live stream and I really appreciate that, y'all. And, so that's the way I'm going to give away this excess gear that I have to make sure, maybe it'll help somebody out. I really hope it does help out, as I give it out. And so congratulations to Jason and John. Congratulations to both of y'all. Those will be going out this week. And got a lot of interesting things coming up. As far as the TV show, it's going to be called Surviving Chernobyl. And I got to view what they call a sizzle reel of it, which is like a rough draft of a commercial. And it's going to be pretty interesting. It's being and for those that don't know, it's the TV show that I'm going to be in pretty soon. And it's being brought in front of a lot of the major networks right now. So I'll know something probably in about another 2 weeks as far as any type of date as to when this might air. Going to be 5 contestants, going to be dropped in Chernobyl, going to have to make our way, multiple miles across rough terrain to get to a bunker that's there. And we'll have 8 days to do it. And it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a lot of fun. And as soon as I get more information on that coming out, then I'll put that on the channel. But I do got some videos that I got almost done. I just sort of got tied up with my day job this week, so I wasn't able to get much more out past the one I did release. But I got some good ones coming out, and I want to talk about some things. And I want to talk about some things that we should take into consideration as far as the way that the government is coming after preppers. Because you think a lot of the laws that's being passed and a lot of the focus is really it's not geared at, it's geared at people that store stuff. It's geared at people that buy a lot of stuff and that like to prepare and be prepared, because the government can't force us to do what we want if we're not dependent upon them. And that's exactly what they're trying to do. And they've been trying to do it with the stimulus checks, and they've been trying to do it with all that stuff, is to make people dependent. I mean, they stopped people from working, and then government gives people money by enhanced unemployment, and I'm glad people got the money. I'm not saying that. And stimulus, because I'll take all the stimulus they give me. I pay a lot of taxes. I'll take it. And can you get Benelli extension tubes to England past customs? That's a good question, man, because y'all got some pretty tough laws over there on firearms, don't you? Don't you got to have like a special license to even have a shotgun or a rifle? That is a good question. I'll look at that though. I'll look at that, and next live stream, I'll talk about that a little bit. But I hope everybody enjoyed the live stream. I'm going to be doing a lot more. This week I should have some free time, so that'll work out pretty good. Congratulations to the winners, and just want to say, I hope everybody has a great rest of their Saturday night. For me, Saturday night's boring right now because my wife's in South Carolina. My kids are down in South Carolina right now, and I've been up here about a month by myself, so that's getting boring. But I guess I'll be all right, though. All right, so I just hope everybody has a great night. God bless everybody, and y'all be safe. And just on the brink of World War, brother. Perfect. I do believe that statement's exactly true. I believe we're going to get to see that in our lifetime. And I actually sort of look forward to that day. All right. Well, I hope tornadoes in Spartanburg tonight. Really? Was it pretty bad there, Save Yourself? Was it pretty bad? Well, if you have a shotgun license, I might can help you out, man. Email me at Serious Survivor, survivor@serioussurvivor.com. And we'll see what we can do. All right. We'll see what we can do on that. Well, I hope y'all have a good night. And let me know, did the live stream look all right with this new software? Was the quality okay? The sound okay? All that kind of stuff. The sharing the screen, I got to get a little more efficient at that. But, this is the first time I used it was today. So hopefully it worked out pretty good. And I want to use it because I have a lot of flexibility with it. I can actually share videos and things like that. All right. So I hope everybody has a great night. God bless y'all. And for now, Serious Survivor out.